everybody. My name is Gerone Wright, and once again, you're joining me on my Geronification YouTube channel. Okay, and then in this video, I'm going to be discussing that of the biblical historical moments of rising dead dead bodies from their, I guess, dead state to a spiritual state. Um, in such cases as Jesus rising from the dead. And in this case here, I'm going to be doing Lazarus um, being risen from the dead and it being a historical moment. I first want to highlight for you the fact of the matter is that in most cases, these risings where these beings are supposedly being rose from the dead, that it's actually not the case of what actually happened. It's not in the reality sense as we know as a body, as a physical body being rose like that. It's not like that. What these references are genetic references of these genetics being extracted from the dead and being continued in the sense in the divine state in that sense. Um, and these genetics being taken. In this case, this is Lazarus laid down, meaning that he's dead, but his genetics were continued out. And it shows you normally in the sense of being black and white how these genetics continue, the two paths that these genetics continue through this genetic manipulation and and um and altering process, which was always practiced and engaged in a cult-like sense. And this is what calls for the different likenesses in mankind today. Now, another thing I want to point out to you that logically makes sense here is the fact that if you notice that in all of these cases, in the biblical sense of where they're talking about these beings being raised from the dead, do you notice that it's always pretty much in a sense, and then it comes more and more where they said that these beings was rose after being 4 days in death, and then it'll come down and finally to and through the Bible and to like maybe like one day. It's like 4 days, then 3 days, and then 2 days, and then finally it was broken down to the sense of maybe one day. Well, I know why this is, but I'm not gonna tell you why. Not at this point, but through my paranormal experience and encounter, I know why these bodies were laid to rest for 4 days dead and then rose after that. The physical body actually laid there, laid dormant. I mean, well, laid dead, but the genetics were actually extracted from the body and then actually continued on, and that's what's going on. Now, I'm going to show you because this is a piece of Renaissance art here, and all you have to do, people. This is what I love about my paranormal experience and encounter, because we don't need no science or scientific approval of this, or no expert analogy, or no scholar coming in and say, "Oh well, he's right," and this, that, and that. Oh no, 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 no. We don't need that because the proof is in the pudding. You know, all I have to do is show you what I have discovered, and through a logical sense, you can actually see and experience and feel what I actually feel. Because they say that a picture says 1,000 words. Well, I can do this with every picture that actually references this moment of this guy being rose from the dead. So I don't need nobody else to come in and say that. I mean, it's already proven. I want to show you something. All right. First, I'm gonna show you that if you take notice, I'm gonna show you some defined. Well, some definite images. But if you take notice though, look at these images first of all. I'm gonna show you just do the sense of just on face. What is it? I'm gonna show you a monkey's chin, a monkey's mouth. See that white substance going in the mouth, and there's the top of the monkey, and then there's the monkey's eye. There's the monkey's forehead. All right. Then if you look at that image, almost the same exact image comes over here, and the same exact thing is being shown there. Okay? It shows a genetic bridging over, but I'm going to show you more definite images. That there is just something that just catches me, stands out right away. All right. Now, this guy is dead. He's being his genetics are being genetically extracted. Okay. Let me show you something that is more definite in what's going on in the sense of what's happening here. When you Google this image, just rising images of Lazarus being rose from the dead. When you come in, I'm going to show you something. You see this woman here? She's a black woman. All right. For those of you, they always factor out the woman's face. They can't show you that this is black because then you'll know what it means. She's a woman of color. I'm not going to say a black woman. She's a woman of color. It shows you what's going on. Now, basically, all you have to do is, if you want to know what's happening with her and her color, all you have to do is look at the back of her head. You see the back of her head? There's an eye, nose, chin. You see that in the back of her hair? There's the image and of the genetics of who she represents right there. This is an ancient, I might have that image there. This is an ancient Egyptian encryption style. I might actually, and I do have that here, that is utilized and was stolen from ancient Egypt. You see that image on the back of the head like that there? Let me show you this image. You see that? You see that face on the back of the head? You see that? Now, why is it appearing? Look at that. The same thing is being done here in Egypt in this ancient Egyptian glyph on the back of the bald spot of the head. You see that? These artists, whom actually became famous for these images, actually globally on the early explorations, these images were stolen, and these art ideas and these art styles were stolen from glyphs that were around the world. Egyptian glyphs, Mayan glyphs, Anunnaki glyphs. You see, this stuff was already, they knew what this stuff meant and then gave you a false representation of it all. See that? See that image there? You see this guy? This here shows in this Egyptian glyphs of what is happening and how genetics are being altered, and this is why this guy has a soul in there. I'm not going to go through explaining that again. I have a video on this if you want to see it. But you see that? I know who this guy genetically is, and this is an Egyptian glyph based on what is being shown in the back of his head. The ape ancestor, the Neanderthal-like being. It shows you how he genetically became, and then how he genetically altered or spliced into using that soul into that tree of life. Shows how, well, let me show you here since I actually went into explaining some of that. Shows you how there was a splicing of the black and the later Caucasian like created genes, and how another, after it was mended together, how another piece was sawed off, and how they actually were chipping away at the genetics once again through a genetic intervention process that can take place every 4 or 5 or plus some so years after the first altering process ran its course, and it shows you which gene is being altered. So here we have later in Renaissance time these guys stating the same exact thing. You see that face there, right? Yeah, you see it. Chin, nose, mouth, and eye. Okay. Well, this artist is stating the same exact thing. So now I'm exposing that all along these Egyptian glyphs were known. And they told you that this is an Egyptian man sawing a piece of wood. This is what the experts are telling you. So why in the hell is an Egyptian man sawing a piece of wood that's tied together with a rope? So it makes more sense that what I'm stating, that this is supposedly telling you that the tree of life was altered, and what was being altered was the genes, the genetics of black and white after they had already been intervened. They're being intervened again at another point. Now, this artist is telling us the same exact thing through the body of Lazarus in the story, in the biblical sense. I can take our entire ancient text dealing with the Bible and show you where it is a reference of the altering of the genes of mankind. The entire Bible. Everything. Now, let me show you what this artist is stating in cyclination here. Because there's a cyclination of these genes, which are the breakdown of these genes. Let me show you something. When you Google this image, look right here. Am I here? Can I see that serpent's face right here? I might have to take it down. Let me see. Let me see if I can see that serpent. Look into here where there's the head of a serpent. I might have to take this down. I'm gonna remind me. I gotta take this down because I can't seeing it upside down. First of all, there's a serpent's head here. I'm gonna get the eye and stuff up in there. There's a serpent's head. And then on the other end of the serpent, there's a face. Let me take this down for a minute. I'm gonna draw this out for you. So when you Google this image, you'll know what to look for. Okay, I'm gonna take this down for one moment. And I'm gonna put this image up because this image is gonna be next. I'm gonna put this in. Take a look at this image. And I'm going to give you the same exact thing in this image here. This is another image of Lazarus, I guess, being raised there. Hold on, let me put this image up here while I draw the other image. I didn't want to draw on it at first because I don't have a copy of it. Look at that image for a second because I'm going to do the same thing with that. Alright, let me draw out this snake here. Oh, gosh. There's the eye there. Shoot. Yeah. There's an eye there. I don't see the bottom of that snake's mouth, but I'm just going to give you an idea of what's actually being stated there. Alright. And let me give you that 8 there. I want to show you something else. So I'm going to draw this. I'm going to show you some things. I'm going to highlight this now that I have it down so I don't have to take it again because it's actually difficult to there's her hair. It actually is difficult to do this after I have it up there because I'm looking at this image upside down. Alright, I'm going to draw these out and I did give you this images. And what else is there that I want you to see? Well, let me do the monkey's face too. So you can Google this image and actually see for yourself. And that's a closed eye of the ape. Alright. Okay. I'm gonna bring this back up. Alright. I'm gonna show you what is here. And this is another image of it. Okay, now, this is the highlights that I made. I didn't want to make the highlights at first because it would throw everything off. First of all, this is what I said, that this is an ape's face. It shows you that these genetics are being taken in orally. What's being taken in? Well, it's referencing of semen and blood. That's what this is actually talking about. Genetics. This is the way they reference it. Through that and through the hair, they show you that these are genetic interventions. And how do you show and explain genetic intervention? Is through that of semen and or blood or hair or saliva, bodily fluids. And this is the reason why all of these images appear as they do. Now, you see this woman's hand, the way this woman's hand is here? Her body, what you don't see is what she's pointing at is another likeness of herself there. There's her widened body, her shortened skirt. See the skirt there? Her arm reaching out here, and then there's her face, and then there's the hair right there. You know what? And this is in the body of this woman. It's showing you a genetic bridging which calls for the altering of these genes. And it shows you that there was an extraction, excitination and an extraction. Now look in here in this clouded matter, okay, which creates this disciplination. And on the end over here where this woman's thumb is out, you'll see a serpent right there, okay? And then over here on the other end of the serpent, you will see the head of a person, okay? Now, this is going into the mouth of the ape, and it shows you what's happening here. Now, I'm going to take this down, and I'm going to show you the other image as promised. Now, look what I just showed you with this. When you Google this image, look for these multi-dimensional faces that I showed you. All you have to do is go there, there, here, and look at the body here of the woman, her hair, and all of that. I know what all of this means. I'm leaving some out, people. I can't give you everything. You know what I mean? I'm taking you on a journey here, but I can't give you all of the explanation. Some has to be saved here, okay? And I'm going to show you something. It gets better too, by the way. That's the first image is not the best image. All right, now let's do the same thing here that I just did with the other image. You see this guy here, this God-looking creature? You know what he's telling you? That he's bridged over a penis. And this is the sperm from the penis, stretched out. This thing here that's bent around is a penis. Sperm extracted from the penis. Now, what was bridged over? Well, the same thing with that woman, that African woman, looking woman. You see this guy here? You see how he looks like that of the African man? You see that? So, what was his penis bridged over with? I mean, well, not his penis. What was his genetics bridged over with? That of reptilian is usually references in that of a snake. So, remember this cloud matter here that has the head of the snake on the other end and then the image of man and woman on the other? Well, here, if you look in this clouded matter, look right there, and you'll see this is the other end from the man's hand, and you will see the serpent. There's the eye, there's the open mouth, and you will even see the teeth. And I'm going to show you what that looks like, because I should have that there. Where we at here? Where is that guy? Do I have it up right? This is what. There. Why is that backwards? Why do I have that? Why is that not appearing? Oh yeah, it is appearing on the same side. Alright. Let me see if I can get the head of that guy up in there. Where are we at? Alright. I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I'm gonna have to darken that for you. Let me darken that. Let me show you what the head of that guy looks like. Cause that's in red. I mean, so you can see the head of the serpent there. And I might as well draw the head of the ape while I'm actually there with it. These transparent images, people, you don't even possibly see it, but there's the face of an ape right there. This is why this guy's head is leaning forward. See the face of the snake right there? Open mouth, tooth, and all of that. There's an eye of an ape. There's the snout. There's the nose coming around. I'm gonna bring these images in. You see that? This is what it looks like, people. And this the man's head that's leaning forward, showing you that he's bridged over. There is the head of a serpent. There's the ape. So what's being happened? Well, it's telling me that there was three genetic interventions, and this is was look, here's the extractions, and here's the three arrows on this end. One, two, three. This is no different than an angel with wings, and you see the angels floating over in the sky and Cupid's arrow going down. This is what this is saying. Divine being minus the wings, and there's the three arrows with three genetic interventions. Voila. Now, I want to show you something else about this image. See them lying dormant and all of that. And this is all dealing with Lazarus, people. A historical biblical moment. Okay. Now, I want to back off this image a little bit, and I'm going to show you something more so. Now, what is here in the cloud matter, that serpent, is also referenced down here. Remember I said the three arrows, the penis, and all of that? Well, when you Google this image, here's the body of a serpent that comes around, coiling around these bodies laid down here. Comes around, and it comes up into a head right here. Now, I might have to draw the head out for you because you won't be able to see that, I would imagine. So, I'm going to pull down that image, and I'm going to bring up my next image with Lazarus. Oh, let me do this one, because these are all famous. I'm going to take this image down, and I'm going to show you that this is a coiling body of a snake, and then it has a head of a person right here. I'm going to show you how it factors into a multi-dimensional sense, and I'm going to draw it out for you so you can actually see. Here's another image of Lazarus being taken from his tomb. And in this image, back over here, can I show you that there is a, these are all famous images too, people, by the way. Back over here, I'm going to have to show you that there is a, I have to bring it in a little closer. Back over here, where we at here? Behind Jesus, there is a penis going towards a mouth that's encrypted in the, I wonder if I can, that's encrypted in the clothing of this person. You see that? Coming from behind Jesus, there's a penis, and if you look closely, there's a face right there. And this being in the wardrobe, there's a penis, and there's an open mouth right there. That's another image. So when you Google this image, this is a famous image. You can go ahead and look right there, and you will see the shape of a penis, and then you will see a face with the open mouth receiving the penis. But it gets better than that, people. Hold on. Let me draw this. I'm going to draw this snake woman out for you right quick so you can actually see this, because this is a famous image. I'm going to show you the coiling body of the snake. The snake wrapped around those lying bodies. And then I'm going to show you what's actually, so when you Google this image, you will know exactly what to look for. I can't do this upside down, and I try not to. Alright. When you Google this image, look right here. These bodies are laid in the coiled body of a snake. Hold on. Let me put my marker show you this coiled body of the snake. Here's the coiled body of the snake. They're laid in the body of the snake. You see this? The snake body wraps around, comes back around, comes over here, and it comes to a head. And there's the face right there, encrypted right there. You see that? There's the open mouth, there's the nose area, there's the eye, and it creates hair right here. It's the face of a woman through the body of this snake. The same exact thing that is actually here is stated, and it shows you the cyclination of these genes. And this is why I can raise Lazarus from the dead, just as Jesus supposedly had, because I can tell you where Lazarus is genetically at today from this reference biblical moment in time. You see that face, people? Look, multi-dimensional face created from these bodies, and it shows you where genes are at and what genes been manipulated. Even has a larger than life penis there hanging from out of his clothing, which you would not even suspect is actually there, but it's a larger than life one. Well, actually large, pretty much, but it shows you what is actually being stated and what is being bridged over. Look at the face, people. The hair created. See that horn-like? See the eye? See the snake face, the scales of the face? There's her chin, open mouth. You see that, people? Look, here's the body right here. Comes around, snakes around, body of a serpent, and comes to the head of my famous woman, the mother of creation, aka Medusa, Madonna. You see that? There's the story of Lazarus right there. Now, hold on, because there's more, people. How many pictures did I show? Right here, I told you that there's the penis. Okay, so when you Google that image behind, coming from behind the image of Jesus, the penis and the open mouth. Okay, it shows you. In other images, if you go back further, you see the faces and stuff behind the door. What you'll see is little boys. Um, you'll see a Caucasian and a African boy bridged over the door, because that's what this is all about, bridging over that of our ancient black ancestor gene. And in the earlier images before the Renaissance, you would actually see images of darker versions of mankind, which is ape, or closer to our ape ancestor, which is being bridged over, and you will see the door being bridged between those two. You know what it's stating? That Lazarus genes are bridged between that of black and white, and you usually have the black person factored out as being behind the door, meaning bridged over with that of white, and then between the door, stating that Lazarus genes were divided between those entities, and that's what this is being stated, people. Now, I want to show you something else. Let's go to an earlier image. To a later image, and I got this image from where is this from? First firstartgallery.com. Firstartgallery.com. Now, this is what you would possibly find in your Bible. This is the best image to make my point with. Let me get a sip of coffee right quick while you look at that. This is something that you would open up your Bible and see right here. Agree? There's Jesus. There's Lazarus. Look at all the people reaching forward. And as bizarre as this image looks, look at this. I know what all of this means. And in doing so, see, while you're looking to these guys, I'm looking around here. And I'm instinctively drawn because I already know what this stuff means. I know there's a representation of semen and blood being made, in which Jesus is genetically sacrificing himself with and genetically bridging over, so those that are depicted here in this image are participants in this genetic altering process, which is happening in a cult-like fashion. So I'm going to take you right to what they are talking about, where there are animals being involved, and there are animals, reptile animals, and other prehistoric animals that well, they're not prehistoric, but they evolved from the prehistoric sense. Let me turn this around so I can actually show you now what I'm talking about here. Let me show you. Let me show you what Lazarus, how they rose Lazarus from the dead. They rose Lazarus from the dead using a cult-like practice which involved animals and our ape ancestor, which is that of our African ancestor. An animal here, and they don't reference us as, well, I'm black, so well, African, so they don't reference us as that because they know, then you will know what is actually being stated. So they have you in your monkey state, and if you look down in here, there's our monkey, and then there's the head of a calf right there encrypted in the stone, which represents the ancient founding stones of our ancestors. You cannot see that ape, can you? And you cannot see that calf there. Here, let me show them to you, because I really don't have to highlight anything to show that. All I have to do is I'll bring them in closer. I just want to make sure that I have that right, so you can actually see it. No, that's upside down. Oh no, it's there. Let me show you them like that. There. I just gotta make sure that I get it right for you. And then I'm gonna close this video out with that in a half an hour. You guys are really cowards too, because I noticed that I don't get many views on when I talk about religious stuff. You're so feared, and this is the chemistry that they have, that they utilize. They have you so scared in yourself to go against the grain of that of religion, that you're afraid to see the truth, and this is why you're blinded from the truth. You see, there is a green reptilian face right there. The face morphs that of ape and man, and then there's a head of a calf right there. You see that? And Lazarus, you see this foot here looking like the stone, shows you that Lazarus was bridged over these beings. His genes were then extracted, and it shows you, you see, the receiver of these genes, and then it shows you that they were bridged over the blood back over to Jesus. It's a cycle, people, that shows you what is actually happening. It utilized children of Caucasian and of African descent. And this is how we got from our darkest state of being, which like these colors, the people of color, to our lightest, our Caucasian counterparts. And the hair and all of that, the eyes were changed because there was a utilization in this cult-like process, cauldron-like changing process, manipulation with animals that had such hair color and eye color in these genetics. These animals, our prehistoric animals on our planet, can be actually linked to this genetic altering process, which is referenced in all throughout all ancient texts, which is in the biblical sense, which is in the um, ancient Maya, ancient Anunnaki, ancient Sumerian, ancient Egypt, ancient Cambodia, all globally. These references are being made where mankind has been genetically bridged over either reptiles or ancient dinosaur, and we are the only ones, the only civilization, and the only era and generation that do not get it. And you know why you don't get it? It's because your fear that they instilled in you about religion and about what is going to happen to you if you defy or if you question this. And that is control, people. This is how you are being controlled. Yep. You're mentally blocked from seeing these images because of your fear of what is going to happen to you, not just in life, but in death and the afterlife. Where reality, as it's being taught to you, is not reality anymore. Go here. I promise you, you'll see the likeness of a reptilian ape's face morphing that of mankind. You see the head of a calf, and you notice how Lazarus' foot, looking like a stone, is carefully placed there, and the other is bridged over that way. He's standing on founding stones of genetics, which genetically altered himself, and now being extracted. And I know the chemistry in which and how this process is actually taking place and what is being stated behind all of this. I can do the same thing with Jesus. I can raise Lazarus from the dead. I can raise Jesus from the dead. But yet I am none of these divine figures. Your fear of God and fear of this divine stuff is what stops you from seeing the truth and reality and what is being and what's happening. My name is Gerone Wright. You're watching my Geronification channel, and I'm telling you that the story of Jesus, the story of Lazarus, the story of John the Baptist, the story of Noah, the story of all your the story of God, the story of all your ancient biblical reference characters, I can read them to you better than those that claim to know the true story can. Better than your popes, better than your Bibles, the first, thirds, and all of the versions of the Bible, all of that. There's nothing more than a genetic referencing chart along with the pictures as to how mankind was genetically altered. And through the penis, through the blood and the semen, and multiple creatures who were genetically altered. And it's referenced in semen and in blood, and through a bridging process, a cyclination process, which can be traced from this period, this ancient time, to current, in a cult-like practice that is still continued today. Death and resurrection and contamination of mankind's genes and genetics. If you continue to be foolish, then you will not know the truth. My name is Gerone Wright. You're watching my Geronification channel. You can also see me on not ancient, but on alien UFOs as well too. All right, thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Gerone Wright, and once again, you're joining me on my Geronification YouTube channel. Okay, and then in this video, I'm going to be discussing that of the biblical historical moments of rising dead bodies from their, I guess, dead state to a spiritual state. In such cases as Jesus rising from the dead, and in this case here, I'm going to be doing Lazarus um, being risen from the dead, and it being a historical moment. I first want to highlight for you the fact of the matter is that in most cases, these risings where these beings are supposedly being rose from the dead, that it's actually not the case of what actually happened. It's not in the reality sense to you that logically makes sense here. Is the fact that if you notice that in all of these cases, in the biblical sense of where they're talking about these beings being raised from the dead, do you notice that it's always pretty much in a sense, and then it comes more and more where they said that these beings was rose after being 4 days in death, and then it'll come down and finally to and through the Bible and to like maybe like one day. It's like 4 days, then 3 days, and then 2 days, and then finally it was broken down to the sense of maybe one day. Well, I know why this is, but I'm not gonna tell you why. Not at this point, but through my paranormal experience and encounter, I know why these bodies were laid to rest for 4 days dead and then rose after that. The physical body actually laid there, laid dormant. I mean, well, laid dead. But the genetics show you that if you take notice, I'm gonna show you some defined. Well, some definite images. But if you take notice though, look at these images first of all. I'm gonna show you just do the sense of just on face. What is it? I'm gonna show you a monkey's chin, a monkey's mouth. See that white substance going in the mouth, and there's the top of the monkey, and then there's the monkey's eye, there's the monkey's forehead. All right. Then if you look at that image, almost the same exact image comes over here, and the same exact thing is being shown there. Okay. It shows a genetic bridging over, but I'm going to show you more definite images. That there is just something that just catches me, stands out right away. All right. Now, this guy is dead. His genetics are being genetically extracted. Okay. Let me show you something that is more definite in what's going on in the sense of what's happening here. As we know, as a physical body being rose like that, it's not like that. What these references are genetic references of these genetics being extracted from the dead and being continued in the sense in the divine state in that sense. Um, and these genetics being taken. In this case, this is Lazarus laid down, meaning that he's dead, but his genetics were continued out. And it shows you normally in the sense of being black and white how these genetics continue, the two paths that these genetics continue through this genetic manipulation and and um and altering process, which was always practiced and engaged in a cult-like sense. And this is what calls for the different likenesses in mankind today. Now, another thing I want to point out, genetics were actually extracted from the body and then actually continued on, and that's what's going on. Now, I'm going to show you because this is a piece of Renaissance art here, and all you have to do, people. This is what I love about my paranormal experience and encounter, because we don't need no science or scientific approval of this, or no expert analogy, or no scholar coming in and say, "Oh well, he's right," and this, that, and that. Oh no, 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 no. We don't need that, because the proof is in the pudding. You know, all I have to do is show you what I have discovered, and through a logical sense, you can actually see and experience and feel what I actually feel. Because they say that a picture says 1,000 words. Well, I can do this with every picture that actually references this moment of this guy being rose from the dead. So I don't need nobody else to come in and say that. I mean, it's already proven. I want to show you something. All right. First, I'm gonna